Good day everyone. Welcome to lecture of the NPTEL course Intelligent and Smart Building in the context of futuristic architecture. In this course, we will discuss the revival and reinterpretation of futuristic architecture. Earlier lectures introduced the origins of futurism and its key ideas. Today, we will explore how those ideas return in later decades and how architects adapted them to changing technological, social, and cultural conditions. We will also examine important movements, influential architects, contemporary projects, and critical debates. Throughout the lecture, we will see that futurism was never simple a historical style. Instead, it became a recurring way of thinking about technology, movement, innovation, and future of the cities. This lecture is organized into four major sections. First, we will understand why futurism continues to return in different periods of architectural history. Second, we will examine the mid-20th century revival of futuristic thinking through technological optimism, archigram, metabolism, and constructivist influences. Third, we will study later interpretations through high-tech architecture, deconstructivism, parametrism, and contemporary projects by leading firms such as Zaha Hadid Architects, BIG, and MAD Architects. Finally, we will critically evaluate whether contemporary parametric design can truly be called futurist. We will also discuss social equity, sustainability, and responsibilities of future architects. Futurism keeps returning because each generation encounters new technologies and imagines new futures. The Futuristic Manifesto, which was founded in Italy in 1909, it celebrated motions, speed, machines, and change. These themes remain relevant whenever society experiences technological transformation. The second, the space age, the digital age, and the current age of artificial intelligence have all received interest in futuristic ideas. It is important to distinguish between revival and reinterpretation. Revival means reproducing futurist form and imagery without questioning their meaning. Reinterpretation involves critical adapting futuristic principles to new materials, technologies, and environmental concerns and the social realities. Therefore, futurism survives not because people copy the paste, but because its central question continues to inspire architectural imagination. After World War II, many societies viewed technology as a tool for reconstruction and progress. This environment created ideal conditions for renewed interest in futurist ideas. The space age introduced rockets, satellites, and vision of orbital settlements. Architects responded with smooth surfaces, aerodynamic forms, and futurist imaginary. At the same time, the atomic age prompted confidence in scientific advancement and large-scale engineering. Buildings and megastructures increasingly expressed power, efficiency, and technological ambition. Lionel Benham, influential book Theory and Design in the Future Machine Age, published in 1960. It helped reposition futurism within architectural history. Benham urged that futurism anticipated many aspects of modern architecture, therefore giving the movement new intellectual legitimacy. Archie Graham, active between 1961 and 1974, transformed futurist idea for a new generation. This London-based group combined technological enthusiasm with popular cultural and system thinking. Their projects were rarely built, but their influence was enormous. Ron Heron's Walking City imagined giant robotic structures capable of moving across landscape, extending St. Elias dynamic city into a nomadic future. Peter Cox Plug-in City proposed a permanent framework into which replaceable residential and functional unit could be inserted or removed. This introduced flexible as a design principle. Instead, city envisioned traveling infrastructure that could temporarily transform towns into media-rich urban centers. Through these proposals, Archigram celebrated mobility, adaptability, and temporary urban experience. The Japanese metabolistic movement developed a more structural interpretation of futuristic thinking. Emerging in 1960s, metabolists viewed cities as living organisms capable of growth and renewal. Architects such as Kenzo Tange, Kisho Kurokawa, and Fumihiko Miki distinguishes between permanent infrastructure and replaceable units. Infrastructure functioned as the durable skeleton of the city, while individual capsules acted like cells that could be renewed over time. Kurokawa Nagagin Capsule Tower in Tokyo becomes the most famous built example of this philosophy. The movement used a biological analogy to explain urban development. Just as living organism replaces cells while maintaining identity, cities could evolve continuously without losing their overall structure appearance. Soviet constructivism developed along a parallel path of futurism. Both movements rejected historical ornamented appearance and embraced industrial materials, engineering, and dynamic forms. However, their political objectives differed significantly. L. Vysotsky pronounced composition explored spatial relationships that blurred the boundaries between paintings and architecture. These abstract experiments shared the sense of movement found in futurist art. Vladimir Tatlin's proposal for the monument of the Third International, often called Tatlin Tower, envisioned a rotating iron structure approximately 400 meters tall. It combines technology, symbolism, and motion. While constructivism ultimately prioritized collective social goals and futurism moved towards nationalism, both movements influenced later generations of architects interested in technology and innovation. So we now move to the second major section of this lecture, and this section examines how future ideas were reinterpreted during the late 20th century through high-tech architecture and deconstructivism. These movements transformed visionary concept into built project and introduced new digital design possibilities. As we proceed, notice how the original futurism fascination with movement, machines, and transformation remain present, although expressed through different architecture languages. High-tech architecture, also known as structural expressionism, translated the machine aesthetic into real buildings. Rather than hiding structure and mechanical systems, architects displayed them openly. Then hiding structural and mechanical systems, architects displayed them openly. Norman Foster used seamless glass surfaces and exposed steel structures to express efficiency and technological sophistication. High-tech architecture, also known as structural expression, related the machine aesthetics into real buildings. Rather than hiding structural and mechanical systems, architects displayed them openly. Norman Foster used seamless glass surfaces and exposed steel structures to express efficiency and technological sophistication. Richard Rosser, Lloyd's of London, placed services elements on the exterior, freeing interior space and turning the building inside out. Renzo Piano and Richard Rosser, Centre Pompidou, similarly exposed ducts, circulation systems, and services on the facade. These projects treated buildings as visible machines. Unlike early futurist, high-tech architects worked within practical construction realities. Nevertheless, they preserved the futuristic celebration of technology, innovation, and engineering as aesthetic values. Constructivism offered a different interpretation of futuristic dynamism. Rather than emphasizing machines, it focused on fragmentation, instability, and movement. Early digital tools allowed architects to create forms composed of interesting planes and unexpected geometries. In 1988, the Constructivist Architectural Exhibition at the Museum of Modern Art in New York brought together influential designers including Zaha Hadid, Frank Gehry, Daniel Libeskind, Peter Ismay, Bernard, etc. Hadid's Vitra station appears frozen in the moment of collision. Libeskind, Jewish Museum Berlin, used fractured form of communicate memory and trauma. Gehry's Guggenheim Museum, Bilbao, transforms titanium surfaces into a fluid sculptural composition. These works demonstrate architecture as movement rather than stability. Patrick proposed parametrism as a new architecture style for the digital era. Parametric design uses computational relationship to connect architectural elements. When one parameter changes, other related element adjust automatically. This approach allows architects to create highly differentiated and continuously varying environment in many ways. Parametrism achieves what futurist manifestos imagined but could not technically realize. Buildings become adaptive systems rather than fixed objects. Curved surfaces, fluid transitions, and interconnected components create a sense of constant transformation. However, critics argue that parametrism often prioritizes visual complexity over social or environmental innovation. Therefore, the debate continues regarding whether computational sophistication alone is sufficient to create meaningful architecture progress. We now enter in the third section of this lecture. Here, we will examine contemporary architects and infrastructure projects that interpret futurist idea today. Rather than simply repeating historical forms, these examples adapt concept of movement, system integration, and technological innovation to contemporary urban challenges. They demonstrate how futurism continue to influence design thinking in the 21st century. Zaha Hadid architects represent one of the clearest contemporary expression of futurist dynamism. Hadid's early drawings were influenced by suprematism and Russian constructivism, but they also reflected futurist energy and motion. Her buildings avoid conventional right angles and instead create fluid spatial expressions. Projects such as Maxi Museum in Rome, the London Aquatic Centre, and the Hyder Elbay Centre in Baku appears to flow continuously across surface. Walls, floors, and ceilings merge into unified forms. Advanced parametric modeling enables these seamless integrations. Visitors experience architecture as movement rather than enclosures. In this sense, Zaha Hadid architects transform the futurist oblique lines into inhabitable space and demonstrate the possibilities of computational design. Bajarke Angels Group, commonly known as BIG, approaches futurism through system integration and practical innovation. Their philosophy summarized in the phrase "Yes is more" seeks creative solutions that combines multiple functions within a single project. In Copenhagen is both a waste of energy facility and recreational sky suite. This project transforms infrastructure into public amenity. The Spiral in New York wraps landscape terraces around a high-rise tower, creating a vertical ecosystem. Big trees the city as an interconnected machines in which different programs support one another. This approach reflects the futurist interest in simultaneity, where multiple activities occur together. However, BIG combines technological ambition with environmental and social consideration. More explicitly, than many early futurist visions. MIT architects, led by a Mei Yansung, provide a uniquely Chinese interpretation of futurist ideas. Their work combines technological innovations with inspiration from traditional landscape philosophy. Rather than celebrating machines directly, MIT creates buildings that resemble neutral landscape. The Absolute World Tower in Canada twists dramatically, creating the impression of motion within static concrete structure. The Harbin Opera House emerges from a landscape like a geological formation. Mei Yangsan border Shenshui city vision proposes integrating natural systems into dense urban environment. Through this approach, futurist dynamism is reinterpreted through ecological and cultural values. The result is architecture that remains innovative and expressive while maintaining a strong connection of landscape and human experience. Many contemporary infrastructure projects are beginning to realize ideas that Antonio Sant'Ella imagined more than a century ago. His drawings of Città Nuova showed cities organized through multiple transportation layers and interconnected circulation systems. Hyperloop proposals envision capsules traveling through a low pressure tube at extremely high speed. Autonomous vehicles require new forms of infrastructure, including dynamic routing systems and specialized circulation networks. Drone logistics introduce an additional aerial layer to urban movement. Together, these technologies suggest increasingly complex and interconnected cities. While many challenges remain before widespread implementation, the overall direction reflects futurist ambition. Transportation networks are becoming more integrated, more automated, and more responsive to changing urban demands. The futurists valued change and contemporary conditions more than permanence. Today, this idea has returned through discussions of resilience, adaptability, and the circular economy. Adaptive reuse encourages buildings to accommodate new functions over time rather than being demolished. Resilient design focuses on responding effectively to climate related challenges such as floods, heat waves, and extreme weather events. Circular economy principles promote designing buildings for disassembly, material recovery, and reuse. These approaches recognize that architecture must evolve continuously rather than remain fixed. Interestingly, concepts once considered radical or unrealistic now support sustainability goals. The machine-like building that can be modified, repaired, and renewed aligns closely with contemporary environmental priorities and long-term resource management. The final section of the lecture focuses on critical evaluation. We will examine whether contemporary parametric design can genuinely be described as futurist and consider the limitations that have accompanied many technological driven architectural movements. Critical reflection is essential because architectural innovation should be evaluated not only by appearance but also by its broader social consequences. There are important continuities between futurism and contemporary parametricism. Both reject static and symmetrical forms, both celebrate dynamic environment and place technology at the center of the design. Both also seek integration between structure, skin, and spatial organization. However, significant differences exist. Futurism emerged as a revolutionary social and cultural movement, whereas parametrists often operate within commercial practice. Futurists aggressively rejected historical traditions, while contemporary architects frequently reference and reinterpret precedents. Furthermore, parametric projects are often produced for clients within existing economic systems. As a result, some scholars argue that parametrism reproduces futurist formal qualities without retaining its broader social ambitions or ideological intents. A major criticism of futurism and many related movements concern social equity, futurism, archigram, high-tech architecture, deconstructivism, and parametricism often prioritize technological innovation while paying limited attention to social inclusions. Archigram's visionary cities assumed universal access to mobility and technology. High-tech architecture frequently served corporations and major institutions. Parametricism has produced immersive formal experiments. Yet, affordable housing, accessibility, and public space are often secondary concerns. Historical futurism itself became associated with anti-democratic political positions and later aligned with fascism. This reminds us that visual radicalism does not automatically produce social progress. Architects must therefore evaluate who benefits from innovation and who may be excluded. For architecture students, the most valuable lesson is not to intimate futurist form, but to understand futurist idea. First, think about dynamism. Buildings should be considered processes capable of adaptation and change. Second, adopt system thinking. Buildings function within large urban environment and technological networks. Third, enhance familiarity when appropriate. Designing for modification, reuse, and transformation may be more responsible than designing for permanence. Finally, maintain critical awareness. Early design decisions affect different group of people in different ways. When drawings inspiration from futurism, always ask who benefit from a particular innovation and how architecture can become more inclusive, resilient, and environmentally responsible. A socially conscious futurism would combine innovation with equity and sustainability. Transportation systems would prioritize pedestrians, cyclists, and public transit users rather than focusing exclusively on advanced technologies. Housing could adopt metabolist principle of modularity and replaceability to create affordable and adaptable living environment. Communities could participate directly in shaping adaptive building rather than relying solely on algorithmic process. In this vision, technology becomes a tool for social benefits rather than an end in itself. Dynamic architecture would respond to human needs, environmental conditions, and cultural values. Such an approach would preserve the creative energy of futurism while addressing many of the criticisms directly at the earlier technological driven movements. This timeline summarizes the major stages in the revival and reinterpretation of futurist architecture. The story begins with the Futurist Manifesto in 1909. Archigram was founded in 1961 and introduced visionary proposals centered on mobility and adaptability. During 1960s, Japanese metabolism explored biological model for urban growth. The Central Compendio, completed in 1977, became a landmark of high-tech architecture. In 1988, Museum of Modern Art exhibition formalized deconstructivism as a recognized movement. Parametricism emerged around 2008 through computational design methodology. During the 2010s, firms such as Zaha Hadid Architects, Big and Mad Architects advanced new interpretations of futurist ideas. Today, discussion focuses on hyperloop systems, resilience, adaptability, and sustainability. To conclude, futurism continues to influence architecture based its central concern remain relevant. Questions about speed, technology, transformation, and urban systems persist in every generation, from Archigram to Zaha Hadid architects. We can trace a continuous interest in dynamism and innovation. Yet, the architecture also highlight important challenges. Formal experimentation alone is insufficient. Architects must consider social equity, accessibility, and ecological responsibility. The key lesson is that dynamism should serve meaningful goals. Architecture should not pursue technological novelty simply for its own sake. Instead, future design practices should integrate innovation with human well being, environmental stewardship, and inclusive urban development. This combination may define the next evolution of futurist thinking. The references listed in this lecture provides important sources for further study. Rainer Benham works explains the relationship between futurism and modern architecture. Peter Cook's publication on Archigram documents visionary proposal that transformed architecture thinking. Charles Jenke discusses changing architectural paradigms. Bereniti Futurist Manifesto and St. Alia's Manifesto of Futurist Architecture remain essential primary sources. Patrick Skemsher writing explains the theoretical foundation of parametricism. Additional publications by others, context regarding architecture theory and intelligent buildings. Thank you for your attention throughout this lecture. We have examined how futurist architecture has been revived and interpreted across more than a century of architecture history. We explored technological optimism, visionary proposals, high-tech architecture, deconstructivism, parametricism, and temporary projects. We also reflected critically on questions of social equity and sustainability. As future architects and researchers, our challenges is not merely to admire innovations, but to guide it responsibly. The future of architecture depends on balancing technological possibilities with human needs and environmental reality. I encourage you to continue exploring these ideas and to think critically about how architecture can contribute to a better future.